Do you think Ole Solskjaer is the right man to take the club forward in terms of what they actually need? Because you've got so many United fans, it seems so split. But from former players, what is your opinion on it? I know he's your teammate, and it's difficult for you to assess the situation. But do you think he can actually take him to the next level?
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I think to gauge that, I've always said give Ollie certainly this full season, and we'll have a look at it in the summer. He's had the setback during the week, slight recovery today, shall we say? He's got I still think he's got to get his hands on a trophy. I think this obsession about getting the top four, I think Man United should automatically be doing that. They all celebrated last year when they got to top four, and then all of a sudden they're out of the Champions League anyway. But I think all he's got is get his hands on the trophies this year, and obviously getting that top four.
We talked about this a little bit earlier with Manchester City, and Gary was talking to Micah about bringing back, company, or missing company, and looking back over the last 12 to 18 months. Are you judging Manchester United in terms of aiming for trophies in the games they should be winning by your time at Manchester United or by Manchester United as they are now?
No. Listen, I've had my time. I'm not a great one for looking back. No, I look at the players they've got on the pitch, and we've seen certainly parts of games over this season. Man United are capable of producing moments of brilliance. Okay, it's individual stuff. They've not been consistent, shall we say. But there's definitely enough in this group to get their hands on a trophy. And when I mean hands on a trophy, we're talking about obviously a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. They've got that Europa League. We look at last year, if you want, they're talking about semi-finals. It's about getting your hands on that trophy. And I think Ollie, by the end of the season, he would have been in the job long enough to say, do we think he's the man that will get Man United back to challenging titles? I still think they're a good bit behind Liverpool and Spurs yet, and even the Chelseas. But get your hands on some sort of silverware. Let's not forget it's Manchester United.
But as things stand, what do you make of Micah's questions? What are your thoughts?
I think that Ole has to start now dominating games. I think that where Manchester United have won games under Ole in the last 12 months have been, I think, through two forms of tactic. It's either been counter-attack or in moments. Southampton, West Ham in the last couple of weeks, not really performances, those. They're not really what you would call a real performance over 90 minutes where they're wearing a team down, they're driving them into the ground. It's just moments, brilliant pass from Fernandes, a finish from Rashford, and they're playing in moments. So there's two ways in which this Manchester United team win matches. They've got to dominate matches. They've got to dominate big games in the next 6 to 8 months, and that'll be the determining factor for Ole. They've got to start playing as a team and perform, and that today was okay. But it's not a tactic for Manchester United to win football matches in the long term. It's not a tactic to win the title. All the teams that win titles dominate football matches. Liverpool, City in the last few years. Yeah, Leicester won it as a freak. But generally, all the teams that win trophies or win titles, they do it through dominating possession, being on the front foot, winning big matches. And Ole's not got Manchester United there yet, and he's been in the job 2 years. He's gotten big 7 months to be able to deliver that. Because if he doesn't, then he will be in trouble.
Over those 2 years, have they moved closer towards becoming a team that dominate and control matches?
I think last season was massive, finishing third. I think that was a big moment for him. But I think now he's got to get closer to City and Liverpool, and he's got to dominate matches. I don't see it at this moment in time. No, the performances that I'm watching are not anywhere near good enough. They're not anywhere near good. We know him. He won't think they're good enough. He won't think that first half at West Ham is anywhere near the standard that's going to get Manchester United to a title. And he'll obviously keep putting the positive spin on it. And today he said it's the best they've played against City. But the reality of it is he'll know that they're not performances that will win titles. They're not. They're nowhere near. I've still got the thing in the back of my mind with this club that to allow a manager to win the title, you've got to arm him with the players to do so and have the ownership, the recruitment department, whatever you want to class them as, done that. He needed another centre-back. He needed a right winger. They're playing with Paul Pogba on the left wing today. They're playing with Greenwood on the right wing. They're still fudging it. They've got 6 midfield players and they're trying to get them all into it. It's square pegs in round holes all the time. So I don't still think they've given any manager here in the last 5 or 6 years a team that can win the title. And that's the job of the people above. So for me, there's dual culpability in terms of why Manchester United aren't successful. Ole's lack of success this season in winning a title, not winning a title, will not just be down to him, but he's got to get close with that group of players. He's got to start dominating big matches.
So you're saying he doesn't necessarily, despite the owners in their defence would say that they have spent the money to get the squad, and what you're saying is they don't necessarily have the right players to play the way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants them to play. But is there another system that group of players could fit into?
I think that the reason they play 4-2-3-1, they play 4-3-3, they play diamond, then they play 5 at the back. He's changing system every other game, if not every game. He's having to react to bad first halves and then change the team in the second half, and then you sometimes see the next team on the next game will be a reflection of the second half, and then he'll be changing it for that second half. And he's still in reaction mode. He's still searching for that sort of what would be group of players he can get out on the pitch and trust. He can't trust any of them. You can't trust any of them. You trust Fernandes, maybe. That's the one that delivers. But you look at what Frank Lampard's doing at Chelsea. It took him a month or so where it was a little bit scruffy. And you thought, what's going on here? And all of a sudden it's settled down now. And they're starting to perform. All he needs to get to that place really quick.
Well, what's interesting about that run for Frank Lampard and Chelsea is that it started with a 0-0 draw in Europe and a 0-0 draw in the Premier League, which at the time weren't seen as particularly great results, but it was about what came afterwards. In terms of Manchester United, if they can come off the back of going out of Europe in the way that they did against Leipzig, get a 0-0 draw here against Manchester City and then put together a run of results, could this result actually be seen as better than it feels right now?
Yeah, of course. That's if they go on and win the next couple of league games. And again, these are games. I still expect United to win the next few games. And obviously Everton's an important cup game. But we talk about trust. Gary used the word trust, and we talk about their attacking players in United and their DNA, but the back four and the goalkeeper for me are still the biggest problems. Okay, they've done well today. There's not a back four there that would take you places. To me, that's a big concern. But these games are coming up for Man United, I fully expect them to get results. But the downside for United at this moment in time, I was driving here today, you just don't know what you're going to get with Man United. You're thinking they could win 2-0, they could lose 3-0. Okay, they grind out a draw, and that's not a good sign when you're not sure what you're going to get with a team. Trust is massive for a manager when you're working with a group of players. And can you really trust this group to go on a run of consistent, positive results for Man United? The answer is no.
Because the word that keeps being used about Manchester United is sustainable, in terms of, is this level of performance and this inconsistency of performance sustainable over the course of a season? When you look at those games that are upcoming, Gary, are they the kind of ones where they can dominate, where they can put in the sort of performance that you say they need to start doing?
Well, you can't believe that they've started so badly at home, that they've gone behind in so many away games, and yet they're still where they are in the league. I think if you just said to United at the start of the season they'll be in front of City, and if they win the game now they might be a couple of points or so behind Liverpool, you'd be thinking, well, I'll take that. But it just still doesn't feel right, because the performances out on the pitch are nowhere near good enough. And that's what I was saying to Micah earlier about Manchester City today. You know, you can have an off day, but it's just something didn't feel right today watching Manchester City. And when you watch Manchester United scrambling at Southampton in the second half and West Ham in the second half and Brighton in the second half, it's just repeated the same things all over again. You know, the performance here against Crystal Palace and other teams, it's been really poor. Arsenal. So for me, he's got to get performance levels high really quickly and get that team together and get some consistency. And at this moment in time, I don't know whether it's going to be Van der Beek, Fernandes, Pogba, McTominay, Fred, Rashford, Greenwood, Cavani, Martial. I don't know which one's going to play each week. We're sat up there in that gantry waiting for the team to come through. We're not even knowing when the team comes through what the system's going to be. And that's not a good place to be 2 years in.
If you want to play for a big club, obviously, and win trophies, the key for any manager when you're working with players is to be consistent. That's why you're at a big club. If you're turning up every week and you're going, I'm not sure what I'm going to get from this group of players, you know, it's tough days ahead. You've got to trust these lads, and I'm sure if we had a private chat with Ollie, he'd be saying exactly the same. I really can't trust this group of players. That's why he's chopping and changing all the time. If he trusted the group of players, he'd literally be going with the same 11 all the time unless there's injuries or suspension. But he's chopping and changing. I always say when you're at a big club and the players pick the team, because you train all week and you play, and the manager eventually says, well, I have to play him. That was my mindset when I was playing for the club. Listen, squad rotation, all that is great, but don't be rotating me. I've got to play in the team, because that's hopefully I can bring something to the team. And chop and change some other lads, Gary and one or two others, but hey, leave me to it.
I was a stalwart at right back, I'll have you know.
You'd be only right back at the club, you know, to be fair. We were stuck with you.
Every transfer market is dipping in.
That was because he didn't need another.